Hello, guys.
Hello, you are watching the Kitty Sisters Live. Today's topic, what got you here will fail you now.
Okay, how do successful business clap? They can go from making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to nothing, or even from millions to nothing, or even billions of dollars, right? Okay, take Nokia or even BlackBerry, for example. Once a multi-billion dollar giant that no longer exists.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Can you?
I mean, what was
who
like?
here grew up in the age where you actually used Blackberries? Let us know.
Some people may not even know what is BlackBerry, right?
Before iPhone, Blackberry was the it product, and who would know that this is something that can go away overnight, relatively? Blockbuster Video is definitely another example of this because before Netflix existed, before Hulu, before we're talking to Gen Zs here because I'm sure millennials, we all understand what that is. But basically, Blockbuster, a multi-billion-dollar business, became obsolete because of a newcomer, a startup called Netflix.
Yes. So the more important questions for you might be, if it can happen to those big companies, what's going to prevent you from happening to you?
What is going to prevent them from happening to you? Today, we're going to discuss why these businesses fail and explore the idea of building something that can actually last generations.
Yes.
So success today, guys, is not guaranteed. Why? Because what brought success to you to now, what brought you here to this level of success that worked in the past may not work anymore. Because we live in a world that is constantly changing. And if you refuse to adapt, you're going to fail. The world's moving much, much faster than it's ever had in the past. If you think about the evolution of agrarian society, how slow paced everything was. Today, the technology is rapidly doubling.
Instant,
The speed of processing power keeps doubling. What is that law? There's a law that says like for every something years, Ron maybe it'll tell us in the comment in YouTube what that is. But basically, there's a law that says like after a certain amount of time, the processing speed of the computer actually keeps doubling how little time it takes for it to double in speed. So that keeps happening over and over and over. So if you don't adapt, if you continue to keep the old world mindset, the old way of doing things, and you're gonna adapt to the existence in 2004, you're gonna be really, really surprised that it doesn't work anymore. So this is actually this is exactly what happened to our business, Nan and I, when we were in the fashion business.
Way before real estate.
And if you guys have followed us on any social, you know what we're talking about here. So at some point in the past, we were actually pretty successful fashion manufacturers, and going from that to like having it become obsolete overnight because our biggest client decided to shut down all their stores because
we essentially are only one client.
I mean, we had others, but this was our biggest client, right? They shut down. 95% of our income evaporated because we didn't adapt to a changing world. We didn't see the Amazon effect happening. We didn't see e-commerce going from like B to B to C. We didn't adapt to like B to C, like cutting out the middleman. Like all that didn't happen. Okay, so Ron said every 20 years, 25% of SME turns over. So basically, those companies fall out of the stock. Basically, those companies go out of business. So that's pretty quarter of those companies. That's amazing.
Yes, I just want to add to the story is that we didn't see it coming, but yet like we kind of felt along the way that we knew it was gonna come. So, and we tried to dabble into like doing stuff here and there, but we didn't find any success.
And I think part of that was, I don't know if this has happened to you guys before, but for us, it's like mentally, you have to do something.
But it's like people want to lose weight.
Oh my god, exactly the same thing. So it's like you have to eat clean. You can't eat like that Crumble cookie. Shout out to Crumble cookies if you ever need sponsorship.
We love you.
From Cali girls. Crumble, you're amazing. We love you. So basically, like knowing what the right things are to do. Sometimes you don't do it, and
information is nothing.
So I categorize this as like fat cat syndrome. We have this all the time. So having fat cat syndrome means that like we're set in our ways. We are satisfied with what we've possessed now, what we've gathered, what we have today, where we forget what it took for us to get there. Now, you know what happened? Like recently, on my feed, I've been seeing a lot of like reflections on how Kobe Bryant practices in his time off away from the cameras. And a lot of people would assume like after at that time, after like 16, 17, 18 years of multiple levels of success from Olympic to NBA championship to MVPs that he would stop practicing hard. In fact, that didn't happen. People who saw his actual practices were surprised how rudimentary they were. He never forgot what he had to do in order to get what he has. He was doing the same jump shots. He was doing basic one dribble pull up, spin move, all these different things that would have been something that people who I've made it. I'm an all-star now. I know
it all.
I know it all.
I know everything
I
already.
know. I'm set. But
Honestly, we are the victim of those people. We were that kind of people, right? We thought like, hey, we go to school, we get a good grades, and we know everything. Like we got our degree, and this is it. This is life, right?
oh yes, thanks for that. Yeah, I got that. Thank you. Yeah, I'll try to move over so you can see me because we're doing it simulcast. Okay, so when we got away from our fashion business, one of the things that we really, when we were in the fashion business, guys, a little bit more context, we were out of college. We decided, like, basically we know everything. We're going to stop working. We're going to stop learning. We're going to continue working in the
I think
fashion
just
business.
since we have our degree, diploma, we're like, this is
Diploma meant stop learning. That's what we thought. Like, I mean, it's embarrassing to say we didn't read books. We stopped reading. We
For
stopped learning for
years.
years. We're like, we're making good money in a short time, right? In the fashion business. But we didn't improve our ability to gain knowledge in an effective way so that we actually can use it to prevent disasters like what ended up happening to us to happen.
yes, and we totally believe that success requires intentionality, right? Like decay or like decline. It's like
Something that can happen.
requires
No work.
neglectance.
Negligent.
Negligence.
So basically, when we got out of the fashion business and we got into multifamily, we vowed to ourselves, we are not going to let that scenario ever happen to us again. We're never gonna. We may not be the best. We may not be the ultimate person in any industry, though we strive to be. But we have to be someone who actually didn't fail because we lacked the knowledge, didn't fail because we lacked the effort. And so when we got into multifamily, the thing that we never stop doing is stop learning, stop reading, stop getting educated. We will never tell you we're the smartest people in the room because the minute you're the smartest, that's basically when your learning stops. Everything stops.
Yes. So give us a heart emoji if you agree to this, that life is about continuous education.
And action from that. Okay, guys. So do you want to hear how then this applies to multifamily or real estate? If you guys want to hear that, let us know in the chat if you want to get us to dive into specifically how this actually impacts multifamily or real estate.
And for those of you guys who are new, we are in real estate and our jam is multifamily apartments. We went from 0 units to over $300 million in asset under management. We have raised a bunch of money from our investors and we have given them so much millions in return. And on top of that, we have saved them almost $78 million in taxes.
And then given the new tax law that will pass, Ron sent me the link to that. That's actually going to give our investor, I think by the end of this year, we'll push like 100 million saved in taxes by our investor because they're investments with us. Okay, so let's get back to the point with multifamily apartments. What we see a lot, there's 2 scenarios that happens to people who come into multifamily apartments. Now, guys, when we're talking multifamily, for those of you who are new to us, we're talking about large multifamily. We're talking about things that, for us, we're buying properties that are like 60 to almost $100 million. And I'm not saying that you have to start there, but I'm just giving you context of what we're talking about. So the money that normally comes into this is like the 2 biggest piece of money that comes into purchases these properties. One, we get financing through lenders, and the gap between that we fill with equity from people we raise money from. So from passive investors who want to jump in on massive opportunities to invest in multifamily because these are things that they know are lucrative, but they can't afford to do it on their own, right? Think about
either they don't have the skill set, they don't have the time, or even the interest to get started in multifamily, but they just love this asset class, and then they just give us a bunch of their money so that we
don't give it to us. We go into these partnerships and we do the investments together.
Yep. So they just give us a bunch of money to invest in their deals, and then we just make them a bunch of money.
So So in that context, when you come to multifamily, one of the things that Nan and I always see is that there's different buckets for people to get into active side of multifamily. You can
Yes.
either source a deal, have relationships with the broker, be someone who mainly raises money but is not exclusively raising money because that would be illegal. Have someone who does asset management and someone who has the balance sheet. These are the big 5 buckets that we always need to have on any general partnership team. It can be 5 people, it can be 2 people,
It could be one person.
But these are the roles that that person or people have to fill. For us, we recognize that it's easy. When we first started, the first role that we felt made the most sense to us, we were capital raisers. Of course, we did other functions, but the main thing that we knew we could do well is raise money.
Yes, and the first question that we got asked when we joined the team is like, "Can you do this?" Which means like, "Can you raise money?" And our answer, like, they didn't ask us, "Oh, can we underwrite the deal?"
Yeah,
or
can you
anything.
like asset manage? Of course, they knew that we didn't. We were brand new, but they knew that we can translate because we were flipping in the interim between fashion and multifamily. We dabbled in flipping, so being super excited about joining multifamily, but not knowing where to start. We live in California. These multifamily apartments are outside of our state. They're in Texas. They're in Arizona. They're all over the place. Not in California.
The landlord and business and investor friendly state.
So we were like, how do we position ourselves
Or add
best?
value.
How do we add value to the team though we're new? And at that time, we both said, you know what? Like the biggest value we can bring to a team is we can raise money. Okay, so when you come into multifamily, though you could be any other bucket, we feel like if you're relatively new, it's the easiest one to get into. So in that context, we're going to talk about how doing what you've done in the past will get you to fail currently in the business of multifamily from the point of view of raising capital. How does that sound? Does that make sense?
Give us a okay.
All right, awesome. So in that context, there's 2 type of scenario that we see happen a lot. The first one is you are already successful in your business. You come from you have a dental practice, you have a legal practice, you run a successful chain of stores. A lot of
You're
times,
an engineer.
you have an engineer firm, and a lot of time these people have specific skill sets that they use to run their business. For us, when we were in fashion, believe it or not, we rarely spoke to anyone.
It was only between us.
Between us, mostly it was email. Sometimes we didn't have to sell, right? We had a couple clients and that was it. We didn't have to go and find new clients. So we didn't develop any marketing or sales skill sets or basically business communication skill sets because we really didn't have to talk to anyone. And we pretty much, at the beginning of our multifamily career, Nan, would you agree? We pretty much did not want to talk to people.
Yes.
So
and now I find like people who are newer and start saying the same thing that
Yeah.
how we were. I'm like, I understand exactly how you are feeling right now
Yeah.
because we were once there. We weren't the people who love to network. We weren't the people who like, hey, here's my business card. Or we weren't the people who's like,
who's willing to tell people that we did multifamily?
for the longest time, our friends for years,
Did not know.
and even now, until now,
Someone do not
some
know.
of our friends, they don't even know what we do. We just say we're in real estate business because we just don't like to talk about it.
So basically, the skill set you have to the skill set for someone to be a really good engineer is not the same skill set. So some people say they think oh, I'm good at business, so therefore I will be awesome at multifamily. In some way that's true, but in the specific case of capital raising, you need to develop new skill sets. You need to become almost a different person. You have to be a different person. You have to have a different identity. Because Nan had a conversation with someone recently who wants so much to be a general partner, but doesn't want to tell anyone what he does.
Yes, and his role on the team, one of his role on the team is to help raise
Capital. But if you don't tell someone who you are, we get it, right? We were there. So we understand there's a whole bunch of complexity that goes into that. Fear of being rejected, fear of being ridiculed, fear of not failing. Those are things that we don't want. Obviously, humans we want to shield ourselves from those kind of things. And when we're new at something, unlike when we're toddlers, when we fall, what do? We laugh and we get back up.
Or we cry a bit.
And we walk a little more and then we fall and then we try to figure it out and then we do it again. How many times did it take us to learn how to tie our shoelace? Did we give up and just expect man, the first time someone pop a shoe with laces, you're like, I got this. Like, that's not the case. But somehow when we're adults,
We
there's
get
some
told not to do
there's like
stuff.
as adults, there's some sort of like false belief that has been embedded that says whatever we try to do, we're expected to be the best at it day one, which a lot of the time leads to failure. So just because the skill sets that you have had and used in your previous business doesn't mean that it'll work going forward. Now, kind of in line with what we talked about earlier about Nokia, BlackBerry, or Blockbuster, the other scenario is, hey, what you've already learned how to raise money. You raise money through one-on-one connection, or you raise money through having network dinners, or you raise money through some of your friends. And then all of a sudden it's 2024, something just happened, and none of those things that you used to do to raise money works anymore. You're like a person who said, like,
When you mentioned this, like there's a person who I recently also talked to.
yeah,
He's kind of new at being apartment thing, general partner, and one of his role is capital raising. And he said to me, "Oh my God, man, I'm raising my first million, and you know what? It's tough." I'm like, raising money is a real challenge. How do you guys make it look so easy? Then I'm just like, well, it is tougher. And then I start inquiring,
it's different.
and inquiring like more question, right? Like I start asking, okay, so what is your fundraising effort so far? And then he mentioned, like, you know what? I have like dinner with my friends. I'm trying to get together for lunch. A few of them who has the money to invest. However, despite many attempts, their friends, like that friends of his, start avoiding him. He wouldn't even like he couldn't even like
Get them to return his phone call or answer his phone anymore.
Yes, responds to his request, right? So instead of pivoting, this guy, keep doing the same thing, keep calling the same friends, and he's surprised that he didn't get any success, right? So honestly, this approach won't work, and you might even damage your friendship. When you rely solely on your friends as your potential investor, you're essentially climbing an uphill battle, right? Like even for us, yesterday we had lunch with our friend. We haven't seen him for a while, and he's an investor, but he doesn't invest in real estate. He loves stock.
He loves Tesla. He doesn't even love stocks, guys.
And honestly, I'm just like, hey, when are you gonna invest with us? And blah blah blah. You know, I've known you for like years. And he's like, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I don't
like real estate.
real estate. Like I just love like.
And this is like so.
So this point is like, if we rely on him to be our investor, this can lead us to a lot of stress and exhaustion. Like, and that's what that guy is feeling right now. So you need to be open to change that the mindset shift and identity from going like, hey, one-on-one or just to your wealthy or your friends connection, but to a broader audience.
Yeah. So basically, like, there's two things that I want to point out about that friend. Number one is, you can't talk to someone who doesn't like the real estate game. He's trying, like our friend, and when Nan said that, I'm like, he's not going to invest. Like, he never will invest. And it's like,
and I knew he wasn't investing. I'm just
like,
saying for fun.
Basically, it's like, if you're talking to someone who loves stocks but do not like real estate, it's like speaking a totally different language. You can say whatever you want. The guy's not going to understand what you're saying. And the second thing is, you have to understand that there's only so much water in that well. Even if that person loves real estate, but you just keep tapping into that well, eventually it's going to run dry. So the goal is never rely on one source. And here's the thing. We have a group of investors, right, that sometimes invest with us, sometimes doesn't invest with us. But don't ever get offended and think like, why are you not investing with me? Our whole perspective is, that's totally fine. We have other people. You know what happened right before this call? Right before we went live? We literally had an investor who reached out to us randomly and said, hey, I just got more money now. I have some funds available. I want to invest with you. Can we discuss your project? That's like facts. It just literally just happened. And yesterday we just got...
And I think, yes. I mean, we have much more.
Yeah, I'm just giving you an example of what literally just happened without any effort. We didn't do any...
And I think it's because it was essential for us from the beginning to break out from our identity of like, hey, I'm not an extrovert. I don't like to talk to people.
I don't want to talk to people about money.
Or like, I don't want to ask people for money. I don't want to like beg them or stuff like that, right? So for us, we were able to break out from that identity and shift into like, hey, this is the
Give me
identity.
opportunity.
This is an identity of capital raiser. Like this is it. This is like I'm not asking you for your money. I'm actually giving you an opportunity that otherwise you don't have. Your money sitting in the bank is not doing a lot, right? It's for like there was a period of time where it was like
less than 0.2% interest.
and how about like what is the rate of interest inflation right now?
I think it's down to 3%, maybe less. Whatever.
Right? So come on, like think about it.
So basically, look, guys, like what the thing is, like when we obviously people we didn't feel 100% comfortable talking to people about money because we have been indoctrinated to not talk to people about money. When you don't talk about something, you don't get control over it. And so when we first started, we had to become the person who feels really comfortable in what they're talking about. Number one, we have to believe wholeheartedly that the thing that we're doing is of the best interest of the person we're speaking to, irregardless of if they're going to invest with us. If they are not a good fit, if this is not the best thing for them, do not raise money from them. Even if you spent time and they're like about to do the deal, you're going to tell them, you know what? In our conversation, what it really dawned on me is that like this is not the best thing for you to be doing right now.
Or it doesn't suit your internal investment criteria, right?
So number one thing is like if you come from a point of view of you're really serving that person and you separate the outcome of I need the outcome to be you sign up to do my investment. Instead, the outcome of these conversations to be, I want to educate someone so that they become more knowledgeable, so that they have the ability to become financially free, help set them up and their family, and impact the lives of so many other people.
Yes.
If that's your outcome, you may even tell them, you know what? I don't think our investment works best for you, but you know what? This other one may work better.
Yes, and some people may be looking for cash flow. Some people may be looking for tax benefit. Some people may be looking just to grow their wealth. So that's why it's so important for investors to know what is their internal investment criteria. If they want tax benefit, then maybe doing something that won't get that yield, that result may not be the wise investment for them.
So again, wrapping this back, like the identity shift happens when first you recognize that what you're doing is going to serve that person to the highest possible level. Number one. Number two is you don't have to be Elon. You don't have to be Jeff Bezos calling him. Because if you imagine if Jeff Bezos was like, hey, I'm going to do another Amazon right now. You want in? There's risk. Do you want in? Here would say like, oh, Jeff Bezos, he's a successful billionaire, one of the richest people. That sounds cool. Let's do it, right? You don't have to be that person, but you have to be someone who definitely understand that the risk and reward profile of the investment that you're offering. And you have to, like, again, know that deal inside and out to the point where you feel that this is to their best like benefit. It's not for yourself. So don't be a sleazy salesperson. What you're doing because you understand your investor better than they understand themselves, like the investment criteria point that Nan mentioned, you're creating an investor attraction flywheel where you become a natural magnet for investors who speaks your love language or investing language. And instead of you constantly running after them one-on-one, they're coming into you. The inbound, so much easy. That's why when people say it's so hard to raise money, this is probably one of the biggest difference. The difference is we don't do outbound investor outreach, right? We do inbound. Our expectation is we open a net wide enough, we cast a net wide enough with a large enough group of fish in that pond. They're just gonna jump in. Imagine like being a bear,
Alaskan bear,
and having salmon just like coming up and they're like boop, in my mouth. I'm not trying to eat investors, but basically the point is like it feels so much lighter, right, Nan?
Yeah, so like, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this, right? You can do the hard way or you can do the easy way. And for us, we just love the easy way. Like we don't want to grind, we don't want to hustle. It's not because we disagree with it. It's just that we just value our time so much that we want to disconnect our income generation from time where we actually have a time to live and do whatever we love, right? So guys, the hardest part of real estate investing is not like the market knowledge or technical skill or even the math. Like we believe wholeheartedly that's the fundamental. If you don't know those things, don't get into the other side of real estate, right? But the hardest and most important part is raising capital to fund your deals, because you can have the best deal, but if you don't have money to fund it, you get no deal, right? So at least it used to be, because we got an answer to simplifying capital raising, we're going to take you from stress and scramble to feeling confident and excited. So guys, we're going to have our upcoming 5 days Raise More Money Challenge, your key to learn how to raise all the money you need for every single deal. And here's the deed. It's going to be starting soon in our upcoming. So all you need to do is just tap there. I'm like,
Well, not tap, but on YouTube, you can see the URL, raisemoremoneychallenge.com. You can also, if somehow you have a phone you're watching on your desktop, you can shoot the QR code.
And then for IG, you just DM us OPM and we'll send you everything you need to know about it.
You know what? Like, I want to circle back real quickly to the whole thing about it's being hard. Guys, there's real life consequences when you don't raise enough money. Number one, you will not get that deal. Number two, in some cases, there's this thing called earnest deposits, hard money that you put down on the deal,
Which can become hard.
which sometimes are non-refundable. And there was a time that you can kind of negotiate it, but most of the time it's non-refundable. Like yesterday, we got a message from someone that said, "Man, I'm in so much trouble because I'm about to lose almost $400,000 because I couldn't finish my raise." And my question to that person was, "Well, how much time do we have?" And like they asked for our help, like, "Help me do this." And like, okay, how much time do you have? They have 7 days. Guys, like, we work magic, but we can't make something bad turn to good, right? Like that Nan said, like the thing that you're gonna raise money for itself needs to be a good thing. And then to do it in 7 days becomes like,
And here's the catch. It's not like they don't have extension. They already exhaust like
all their
all
extensions.
extensions.
Extensions are basically multifamily deals. Typically, you have about 60 days to close the property from the time you sign the contract to the time that escrow closes. Congratulations, you own the land, you own the building. But in that time frame, if you can't complete the raise or the lender has issues, you may ask for an extension. Typically, we build in 2 15-day extensions into our contracts. So that means that 60 days plus 2 15 days, that's 90 days. And in some instances, if the seller is willing, they may even help you push out that a little bit further. But in the case of the person that reached out to me, they've already exhausted all those options. And the seller's at the point where they believe like giving more extensions isn't going to do anything because this person actually can't fund the deal. In fact, last year, we know someone who, similar scenario, I think they had it under contract for almost the entire year. It's not $400K that he lost in earnest deposit. Guys, he lost $1 million in earnest deposit. $1 million, seven figures.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. No matter how much money you have in the bank, $1 million gone is a problem. And guess what? Guess what the reason was that he couldn't close? Let us know in the chat. What do you think was the reason he couldn't close? It's this thing that we're talking about right now. It wasn't that they couldn't source a deal. It wasn't that they didn't have a lender. It wasn't that they didn't have a property management company already in place. They didn't have an SEC attorney in place. It's because they couldn't finish their fundraising. That's the problem. That's the issue right now. We're speaking from experience because there's been several instances. Yes, money. There's been several instances in the short time that we've been in real estate, guys. We've been in real estate for 5 years. Here's some of the stuff that's happened so far in this.
Well, in multifamily for 5 years, but real estate for over 10 years.
So in multifamily, we've been in for about 5 years. Here's the things that have happened to us, okay? We bought a deal during COVID. Okay, so we were able to raise money during COVID. People were actually not allowed to leave their homes. They figured out how to get the money transferred to us. Then
when there was a lockdown.
Then in June 2022, we had to close a deal that originally we wanted to use pref equity. Long story short, it's a different deal. Basically, we were expecting to have to raise 14 million and then ended up having to raise 34 million because we chose not to go with pref equity route,
which is private equity.
That all happened during the time that interest, remember June 2022, if you go look back at the charts, that's when the feds, they started raising rates, but then it got kind of crazy. I think it was like 75 basis points. And then that's like the beginning of like, oh, this is not a short-term thing. Like they're not playing. This is going to continue to happen. But we were able to raise 34 million. We had to pivot from thinking 14 2 weeks earlier to, oh man, we need 34. So we speak from experience. Then guess what happened? We have another deal.
4 months later.
$38 million that we're raising.
that we had to raise.
And then interest rate is not only going up, it's freaking high, right? So now it's a new reality that we have to. Inflation was like touching like 8-9%. If you include rental, oil, gasoline, it probably was like 10. Like those were the scenarios that we dealt with, and we were able to successfully not. We have never failed to close a deal ever. We've always been able to close the deal. We've never failed to raise the money necessary to buy the deal. And so therefore we speak from extreme experience that people, and simultaneous to that, like the stories that we told you happened concurrently with what we're doing, is people were losing money because they couldn't find a way to raise the money.
Yes. So can you see how important is capital raising to closing or even having ownership in a deal, right? I mean, it's an essential skill set that you need to have in order for you to reach your dreams, right? And in addition to that, it's also a win-win for investor, because there are so many people, there's so much money on the sideline waiting to get into real estate. They just don't know who to trust.
Yeah. And there's investors who after we spoke to said, like
I'm known for like 6 months.
I've always wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't know where to start, and I didn't know who to trust. Like, she's read Robert Kiyosaki's book years ago, and she said, like, thank you. Like, this is how, because you understand your positioning and because you take care of your investors, she told me after she wired us $100K, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for this investment. You see that? We didn't say thank you so much for investing with us. She's the one who thanked us for the opportunity. And that's the mindset that you have to build long-lasting success in any business and in multifamily apartments business as well.
Yes. And do you think she's only going to invest once? Right? Do you think she doesn't have friends?
Yeah.
Right? So she's not only going to invest more than once, but she's also going to refer us to her friends, because like, there's so much money out there. You just need people like us, people who they can trust, people who they know that can take their money and make money for them.
Yep. So the concept of long-lasting success. So here's some of the thing again, is the key here is that your identity cannot be linked to and locked into the possessions you've had. How many people have seen stories of like, man, that person changed so much after they made money? And what happened is, like, the success that, to get to that level of success, to be that self-made person, they have to do certain things. They have to be willing to be a certain person. But once their identity mistakenly gets locked into what they have, their possessions, their boats, their cars, their yachts, their planes, their bank accounts, they forget that it took work to get there. So the intention is now, like, if you're driving a car, it becomes like they're in neutral instead of actually stepping on the pedal. You guys know that if sharks cannot continue to swim, it will die, because it will not have enough oxygen to go into its bodies. So it constantly needs to move forward. What Nan was talking about are some of, like, scientific laws. The laws of entropy says that things are going to things will decay, things will fall into disrepair. And that happens to anyone who connect their identity to the possessions they have. Because once that happens, you lose focus and you lose the ability to actually be the person to do the thing that will take them there. And so, again, referencing back to Blockbuster. Blockbuster failed because they identified themselves as a DVD company. They didn't identify themselves as an entertainment company or a movie company. Because if they identified themselves as the latter two, they wouldn't fail. The reason it fled wasn't because people stopped watching movies. In fact, I think there's more people watching more movies in different medium than ever before. But because people stopped watching it on DVDs. And they didn't adapt, because they're like, oh, no, those new technology, that startup thing, that weird thing that was like mailing people DVDs.
That won't work.
That won't work. But they didn't realize that speed was going to rapidly increase. They didn't realize that the cost of internet was going to go down. Their mindset was 28.8 speed digital dial-up modems, right?
Wait, Netflix, at the beginning, they weren't digital either.
No, they were like physically mailing
DVDs as well. But they pivot.
But they knew they wanted to get in the door, but they knew they're an entertainment company. How do we know that? Because they produce their own content. They're one of the biggest production houses now, because they're an entertainment company. They're not a DVD. They're not even a streaming company. So that's why Blockbuster failed, because if you had the identity similar to Netflix, you're going to be able to adapt and pivot as things changes, as technologies, as social, as political things change, you're going to be able to roll with the punches. But if you're locked in, like set in stone, I'm a DVD company, what I'm not going to look into internet, I'm not going to do a streaming. Well, you're going to go the way of Blockbuster. From what I understand, there's still one Blockbuster that exists somewhere in Alaska. Go look it up on the internet. And people are sad because I think they're going to close it down.
Oh no.
But that's one of it. So this notion that just because you had success like Blockbuster did in the past and it'll continue tomorrow is completely bogus.
Yes, and how does this relate to real estate? Well, there's so many successful people coming into real estate, but they don't find success in real estate because they just have that old mindset, that old mentality, instead of like, hey, I'm the underwriter, like I'm the math person, or
like, hey, I need to be on social media, or I need to talk to strangers about multifamily, or I need to go meetups, or hey, I need to do YouTube lives, like all these things. Guys, know that we're very uncomfortable doing all these things. We're like complete introverts, so it's still not easy, but we know that we are practicing what we're preaching. We have to be the people who can come out, talk intelligently about all things multifamily and finance that we love in order to help more people. And so if we are dissatisfied to just be in a corner, that will never happen.
yes.
Okay. So intentionality creates momentum and growth. So in multifamily, you have to intentionally speak that to existence. Like you have to tell people what you do. If no one knows, who's going to invest with you? Like going back to that story that we talked about, the person that Nan spoke to, it's like he doesn't want to let anyone know what he's doing. He doesn't want to tell people on social media.
He doesn't have a social media.
Who's going to invest with him?
He doesn't want to tell his colleague. He doesn't want to tell his boss. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Hello, you have money to raise and you don't want to tell people about it. How are you going to fill that gap?
Unless you don't put your own money in.
How are you going to raise $1 million, your goal? How can you do that? I'm like, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, so like when you set that intention forward, the example of this super easy is when believe it or not, Nan and I have completed marathons by running them, not driving. But basically, we've completed marathons. But what we realize is the minute you stop running, the minute you stop that momentum, that movement, even a couple days, it's so hard to get back to running. And that's why constantly, it's not about working harder for harder's sake. We're definitely not an advocate of that, but you have to work on the things necessary to move the needles every single day. And if you don't, the minute you stop, you kick in that law of entropy and you're going to start the decline and the decay. And one day you're going to be like, I'm on top of the hill. I can raise all this money. And then the next thing you blink and it's 2024 and you're losing 400K because you can't raise that money anymore the same way. That's why raising capital, you have to innovate. You have to be the person who can attract endless supplies of money coming into your investments so that you don't go frustrated with the old way because it doesn't work anymore, right? And so you have to recognize that shift so that your investors are inflowing into your deal box, into your email, into your subscription. That is how you become oversubscribed. If you think of like Taylor Swift, her concerts, even Adele. I've tried to buy Adele concert tickets before, and I think it's a total scam. Like I can't, not her scam, but the process is like literally.
Have you guys ever tried to buy concert tickets?
Not on the secondary market, but like actually try to buy.
Hard.
It's like almost impossible. Right?
It's so hard that we gave up.
But basically, you want to be like those tickets. You want to make it so that your investment opportunity is so desirable that it oversubscribes. Like people are like, I need this. I need to be into this deal. And so oversubscribing our business means that like we fully funded the deal. We do not need any more money. So anytime we say oversubscribe, we love it.
So guys, so the idea of what got you here will definitely fail for now. Like will fail you now, right? Because again, it goes back to your ideas, your mindset, your identity.
Who you are creates what you have to do and what you'll have. And if you cannot be the person that will do the thing that will then give you the results that you have, then you're never going to be a successful fundraiser because you're resting on your laurels and you're happy with how you're like, I got this. I pat myself on the back, like, congrats, like, you've done it.
I got this, but I at the end of the day, you didn't get anything, right? So attracting investor and raising capital is about to get so much simpler, guys. We decide it's time to share our secret weapon to wealth, aka our blueprint of raising millions of dollars for every investment deal. All you have to do is join the 5-day Raise More Money Challenge starting February this month, right? Dishing the capital raising stress and let the money come to you. Tap here to learn, tap there to learn and sign
So
up.
basically on IG, DM us,
OPM.
On YouTube, we have raisemoremoneychallenge.com. You can use the QR code or you can just type it in. Those two things. Also in the description, we'll also have a link to it. So if this is something that makes sense for you guys, if you want to learn how to make life so much easier in this business and not risk losing your earnest deposit that could be in the 7 figures because you couldn't finish the raise, then this is the place to be. And you're going to talk to 2 people who've experienced this day in and day out. This isn't theory for us. This is something we practice every day. And the awesome thing is like our innovations come from like field work. We do something in the field, it works, we bring it back and we tell you like this is what we tried and it works really well. This is what we tried, didn't work. Let's not do that. We live in a new age, guys. Like right now, in the past, for thousands of years, we live in agrarian society, agricultural society, where wealth was in the hand of only a few people. Wealth was determined by the land that they have. If you have land, you had wealth. And then once we moved through the industrial age, it was the owners of the machine, the owners of the factories that built the machines.
Yes.
So you're expanding the wealth to more people. So now the workers who used to basically work for free on farms are now working in these factories. And so they've started making way more money than they've ever done, they've ever had. But then we're moved past that, right? We're then became an age of technology where 80s, think about those massive phones you see on YouTube, like the old Macintosh, all those things that happened, and things started moving so much faster. And then you move into the information age. The information age was amazing because all of a sudden now on your iPhone, you like want to know something. Hey, how many miles is this building? Boom. Who's the richest person right now? What's the weather like? Is it gonna rain in LA tomorrow? All that's at our fingertip. But the problem with having so much information is you need someone to decipher it. It's like walking through the Amazon jungle, but you don't have a guide. There's no direct path, and you don't even know if there were paths. Given your physical ability, given who you are, where you want to go, does that path lead to where you want to go? And that's why you need a guide, aka a mentor, who can decipher the information for you and put it in a specific sequence that they know will work best for what your specific scenario calls for. Once that age of information has gone through, like now, I believe we live in the age of influence. So who here knows who Kylie Jenner is?
Or who don't know?
Who doesn't know who Kylie Jenner is? I'm sure like
Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner, right? She's the youngest Kardashian Jenner clan, and who a couple years ago made headlines because she became the youngest self-made billionaire with her cosmetic line, Kylie. She didn't do this because she went to get a Harvard MBA. She never even probably worked like a regular job before. She probably has never worked in an office, doesn't know how to send like a proper business email, doesn't know how to read P&L, doesn't know financials, doesn't know any of those things. Yet she became a billionaire. Why?
Because she...
Let us know. Why did she become a billionaire?
I'm like, because she uses her influence to sell, right?
Yeah. So another person who uses their influence to sell is Ryan Reynolds. Guys, no, so I have never really followed his career. I sort of know that he's that cranky, like Marvel character that smokes cigarettes or something. I don't even know. Okay, Deadpool.
But who here watched Deadpool?
Who here loves Marvel, right? So then what happened? He all of a sudden started popping up in all these Mint Mobile commercials. I'm like, I didn't know you're a telecom mogul. What the heck? How did that even happen?
I didn't know you own a
telecom company. Like, does he know communications? Does he even know any of these tools? He doesn't know how to set up satellites. None of that. He was able to use his influence to garner a whole bunch of subscriptions and people buying subscriptions into his program to the tune that he sold that company to T-Mobile for dun 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 $1.35 billion.
Man.
Wow. And he's an actor. Like literally he doesn't have an engineer background. He's not making cell phones faster. He's doing it because this is the age of influence. People buy things, people do things because of the people they know, like, and trust, and they want to follow. Guys, like, I'm gonna say this, we all think that we're leaders, but somewhere in our consciousness, we also at times want to be led. We want to be led because it's easier. We want to be led because we want someone who knows more than us to help make it so it's less painful, less
Yep.
mistake prone, right? So that's why people follow people like Ryan Reynolds. Okay, beside that Deadpool, what other movie did he star in that he was a leading character?
He made money not from being
Movie.
not from being in the movie, but actually from selling that mobile company.
And I think he has like an alcohol company that's like $500-600 million in value as
I
well.
mean, another good example is Reese, right?
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, so Reese Witherspoon, that's also a really slightly interesting, different way of her tapping into her influence. So Reese has a pretty significant following online through various social media platforms. And guess what? During COVID, she was bored, so she started a book club. From this book club, she's able to garner what her audience likes and dislikes are. So what she didn't stop there. I'm just going to read random books. So she got all the best authors to send her these books and sign an agreement that says, if I decide to pick up the option in this book, I will have the right to make it into a movie. And of course, everyone win because people want to have their book exposed to millions of people. And then
She's a person of influence.
and she's a person of influence and the connection, because now if the movie makes sense, she can then produce it, or the book makes sense to become a movie, she can produce it and make billions of dollars. So Reese Witherspoon from like Not So Dumb After All. What is that movie called? Legally Blind.
Yeah,
Is it
Legally
called?
Blonde.
Oh, Legally Blonde.
And Sweet Home Alabama.
See, those movies, they
did well.
They did well, but
It was
they're not
nice.
but they're not like Marvels.
They're not billion.
They're not billion-dollar blockbuster movies. So Reese Witherspoon used her influence, and so guys,
and to turn her life upside down, to make millions of dollars, to be a person of influence.
and think about it. All these three people that we mentioned, they had to become a different person because they were willing to be ridiculed. Kylie, who are you? You're like the least famous of the Kardashian Jenner clan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She had to put herself out there to say, like, no, I have a specific, unique point of view. I have followers and they love my stuff because I understand what they're looking for. Like Nat said at the beginning, you have to know what your investors' investment criteria is. She knew what cosmetic choices her followers wanted to have. Ryan Reynolds needed to understand his audience, quirky kind of guy, kind of funny thing ads. So
It's not easy to break into like the
oh
mobile
my god, like think about how
industry,
much
right?
think about how he had to become a different person to realize, like, no, I have the right to actually do this. Because it's not easy. Like in their space, they get judged for having a wrong haircut, from dating the wrong person, from saying the wrong things. So every action had to be very intentional. They had to do brave things so that they become billionaires.
Yep.
Reese Witherspoon, same thing. People could have said, like, who are you? They're going to teach us about what books are, what are good books, what are bad books, and who are you to decide what should be produced as movies? Well, guess what?
Yes, you may go to like Harvard in a movie, but you're not a Harvard graduate in real life, right?
Exactly. Like, yeah, Legally Blonde doesn't mean that you're a business savant, right?
Oh yeah.
But she didn't care. And so it sounds easy, but sometimes things that are easy are hard to do. You know what you have to do, you just don't do them. So simple and easy are kind of like, sometimes are things that, like, you have to do this, you just don't do it. It's like exercising.
Yes, like for us, for the longest time, we refuse to become the person who we should become. And it's just fear, like anybody, right? We fear of being judged, being
Failure,
rejection, and everything, right? But we know in order for us to become who we need to become, for our family, we need to step up and do it. We just have to do it. And once we start doing it, everything become easier and easier. And once you start doing it for a longer period of time, repetitions start happening, and then you start gaining this mastery, right? We love to talk about mastery a lot, is because we believe that when we keep doing the same thing and it become unconscious, it work in our conscious mind that we just do it and say it just become easier. We gain that mastery.
So basically, like, you have to understand again the relationship between to have something, you have to be able to do the stuff. But to be able to do the stuff, you have to become a person that's intentionally able to do those things. So in the age of influence, you just have to be able to do that so that you can actually raise millions, billions of dollars from people who want to invest in real estate.
You know what? That's a good point, because a lot of people are stuck with like, I have or I want something, but they're not willing to be someone
Yeah.
or do something so that they can have that thing, right? Some people are like, hey, I'm already successful. I have this. But for me, in order to step into this real estate, I want to be able to achieve this so that my family can live for generations and whatever. So, right? But they're not willing to be the be do. They just want half. They're not doing the be do half. They're just like, hey, I have.
So like the other thing that's like, now we're getting to like some sort of psychology kind of thing, but unfortunately, a lot of times when you want to have something, but if it requires you to become a different person, for you to have a different identity, you're so rooted right now in the identity of who you are, even if it's a painful one, even if it's a bad one, that you're not willing to shed it because you're so grounded in like, this is me, because you think me is permanent. You are not permanent. How many days? I think it was like every 30 days, your entire body, except hair and nails that we got from our friend, it actually changes over. You have brand new cells in your bodies. So nothing in you is permanent. So don't ever, like, if you allow yourself to think like, this is always me, this is who I am, I'm never going to change, be a Blockbuster and be a DVD, and then you're going to have that same experience where you're going to have decay and ultimate decline. I don't want to say death, but basically, you understand what we're saying. So don't lose sight of the personal growth that you always have to pursue it, because you already possess the things that you already have currently in your life. If you want more, if you want better, if you want to help more people, recognize that the person you are today may not be ready yet. You have to become the new person. You have to become the caterpillar that's going to transform into a butterfly. It's actually a painful process, right? It's like it hangs upside down, it does a little cocoon, and then like has to rip the cocoon out and fly away. It's like a whole thing.
Definitely, guys. You know what's the biggest struggle for like general partners in real estate, right? Is funding the deal. Raising capital can have a lot of stress, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? We're sharing our exact blueprints for raising more money so that you can do more deals, right? Attracting amazing, loyal investor and taking stress out of the equation. Trust us, there's plenty of wealth to go around in real estate. It's not just like
there's trillions right now. There's trillions of dollars on the.
I think I read
there's 2 trillion on the sideline right now. There's like 14 or 13 trillion in IRAs, which are like investment accounts, retirement accounts that can be deployed into anything. And so there's so much money. We don't obviously even require hundreds of millions. Like you get a couple $1 million and you can buy a great deal.
Yeah, so join us for our 5-day Raise More Money Challenge so you can learn how to attract the capital your real estate business needs. So all you need to do is just
on YouTube, you see the Raise More Money Challenge URL. We also have the URL link in the description. If you're watching on a desktop through your YouTube, you can use your phone to shoot the QR code. If you're in IG, go to DM us OPM, Other People's Money, and you're going to be able to send all the information for you so that you can join us for our upcoming challenge that's happening very soon.
Whew. Okay, time for
a couple of
questions.
A couple of questions. If you guys have any questions, you can drop it in the chat, and then we'll answer it in the remaining time we have.
Oh, Palm and I, we done Tough Mudder too, and we kind of left that identity.
Oh yeah. In that case, Haley, it's gone.
It was really fast. It was like quickly.
We became a Tough Mudder, and then we left Tough Mudder.
We have retired after that first time, right? Yeah. Okay. So, questions. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so someone asked us. Okay, oh my God, this is fun. I just got a text. Someone asked us like, can you share your first experience of raising your first million?
Oh yeah. You know what's interesting when you're dealing with like such large numbers. Like it's interesting how it becomes very normal to talk about millions, right? Context: 2 girls, 2 first-generation Americans who parents didn't come from money. Move a little bit
Oh,
over here.
sorry.
Who family didn't come from any wealth, and you talk about millions of dollars, like prior to us being adults, like, would blow our minds. Like, it's not normal, right? But on our first deal, which was a $6.9 million purchase in Phoenix, Arizona, we raised around $3.2 million.
3.7.
$3.7 million for the deal.
I think 3.7 or 3.9. I can't recall.
And in that time, like, we didn't have all these things figured out. We really didn't even know how to send out the emails to announce to people that we had the deal. In fact, we told the story. We sent it on Gmail. We thought we'll just add, right? Add all contacts.
CC.
Yeah, something like that. We add all the contacts and we sent it. And you know what happened? Like, undeliverable. Like, imagine, and we didn't have the big list, but let's say it was a couple hundred people or something, but it's like undeliverable. And we're like, oh, we don't know what we're doing. Oh
We're
my
like,
God.
We were shocked. We're like, wait, some were bouncing back and some didn't get bounced back. So we didn't really know like who to send the other email to.
Yeah.
We're like, we are stuck, right?
Yeah.
So next question is, what is the minimum you can invest with you?
So for us, when we first started on our first deal, it was $50K, and then it moved up to $75K sometime in around the third or fourth deal. Right now it's $75. In all honesty, we're probably gonna move it up.
So
to,
like there are some other group who does like $300,000 as a minimum, like or 100K. Like for us is 75K. Yes.
Yeah. So, but we're probably gonna. The cool part, guys, is most people and here's the ninja tip: if you did 75,000, a lot of time you're gonna get people who are gonna invest 100K. It's a really easy discussion to have. I had a call once with someone. He's like, should I invest 75 or 100? I'm like, well, do 100. It doesn't matter, right? Just round it up. Like, literally, that's the conversation.
The conversation is like, does $25,000?
Is it gonna hurt your pocket? Like, think about who we're talking to, right?
Yeah.
To the person that's investing with us. If he's gonna invest 75, he has 100 to invest. So it's like, come on, like, it was a simple, like, do 100. Okay, boom. So don't be afraid to raise your minimum. In the book by Ben Hardy, he talked 10x is easier than 2x. He actually talks about the this guy he cited as an example of being able to raise more money from people when he raised his minimum to $300,000. Because prior to that, he was having such a hard time. And it's like buying something when you think like, man, like, if I'm investing in a deal that they have a minimum of 300,000, think about all the other smart people, smart, savvy investors who are already investing in this deal. So it gives that property, that investment opportunity, also like an air of like, oh, this is an exclusive club that people are going to get into.
Yes. Next question is, what were your first actions or first learning objective when you start syndicating?
The first part was
great question.
So I think that there's two sides to getting into any real estate deals for us: is finding the deal, finding the money. And so while we understood we have to learn the foundational things for multifamily or any real estate flipping or anything else that you want to do, you have to understand what that is, because you have to speak intelligently to your investors. But more importantly, like, day one, build your investor list. You need to start building that list, and you need to telling people that you're doing this, that you are a multifamily professional now.
I think like the objective is some people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know the asset. I don't know commercial.
Well, I think this is point of view of the GP. So first thing that you want to learn is you want to learn the basic of the business so that you can speak intelligently. Then you want to fine tune what your investors' internal investment criteria are. Like, we spoke in a previous YouTube live about learning what their likes, dislikes better than they are able to even express it. So this is like having what is it called? Understanding the psychographic of the person that you're raising money from.
Yes, and most importantly, a lot of people, they don't know who they're investing, or they like how to communicate with them, right? And that is a craft, that is a skill set that you need to learn. And once you learn it, it's like it will change your life forever. Okay, next question. Next question is, do you ever use bank, and do the investment require seasoning?
Do investment banks? We don't use banks. I'm assuming for lending, we don't use banks at all. And our money isn't seasoned because we open new entities for every multifamily deals we purchase. So we would have there was a time we had like $40-something million in the bank, but this is a brand new bank account. And so the first time people start wiring money, the bank may hold it. Like for instance, Chase would hold some money and say like, hey, verify that you meant to send it to this person because this is like a brand new bank account. So it's never seasoned, and we've never had an issue. You have to be very clear when you talk to the banks, like what's the intention of opening an account. For us, we now work with like a specific representative who deals specifically with us. So when we open an account, we may open like 4, 5, 6 different accounts, and it's like every entity, every building we buy, there's a new set of bank accounts.
Yes. And so for multifamily, we partner with lenders like, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or like the bridge lenders and HUD loans, right? So we use bank as just a tool to store.
So they're not like banks, right?
Yeah,
they're like lenders. They're like financial lenders.
Yes.
Not B of A, not Wells Fargo.
Yes,
not
but we open bank accounts to store our investor money so that when we're about to close a deal, we just use that bank account. But for lending, our biggest partner is the lenders, right? They're not BFA. They're just
yeah. So we don't use banks to lend money. We just use bank as like normal business would use bank accounts for.
Yes. Next
So
question
if there's no cash flow, how do investors get their money back? Well, it depends on what your business deal is. Like right now, we have a townhome development that we're building. It's actually ground up development, so obviously there's no building. So we're starting raw land. We've demoed the building. We're starting earthwork. Obviously, that means that there's no cash flow for the first couple of years.
And then we are upfront about it to our investor, but we also paint them and educate them that, hey, this is our business plan. This is how we're going to make money for you, right? Like how we're going to turn this land and we're going to build like an entire neighborhood where you're going to be able to get,
Yeah, you're going to get, basically, every investor has different objective. For instance, like we have an investor who's a doctor and he doesn't care about cash flow. All he wants is appreciation. So it's like a square peg and round hole. That doesn't match. If your investor is looking for cash flow, but your deal is appreciation based, heavy, you can have both. But let's say it's heavy appreciation, which is the case now for most multifamily deals, then that's not a good fit. Go do something else. But
so that investor won't work for this deal. But
we have a deal that is cash flow heavy but doesn't have appreciation, this person would like it.
Mm-hmm.
And like with that doctor, he said, I want appreciation. I don't care about cash flow. What am I going to do with this money right now? He just wants that money to keep growing. And so matching the deal with the person also then speaks to your ability to raise money, because again, like if you're telling someone like there's no cash flow and like they're actually like their retirement saving is
mm-hmm. There are many of our investors like that, and this may not be a deal for them. So this won't be a right opportunity. So next question is, what kind of risk should I be aware of before putting my money into real estate?
Well, I mean, like basically, there's always risk that you can lose your money in any investment, and if anyone tells you otherwise, you should run the other way. But the risk is more so in like things that are not tangible, like cryptocurrency or even the stock market. We're talking about tangible properties that have people that are renting it, that's hopefully is cash flowing on the property level, and the building has a demand in that area. It's like the story of multifamily is like the identity of multifamily is different than like Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a DVD company. Multifamily serves a fundamental human need that will not change and will not go out of trend with different seasons, with different in age, right? Agriculture age, people needed homes. When it came to industrial age, people needed even more homes because they were living separately. When it came to information age, people still needed home. When it comes to technology age, people needed homes. When it comes to influence age, people need homes. So it's not something that you buy the right deal, understand your numbers, and there's still risk, but know that it's based on a tangible asset.
Yes. Oh my God, we're on top of our hour. So we only have time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
So next question is,
what's the rate of return you offer an investor? That's more like an offline question. We can definitely chat with you.
And each deal is
totally different.
Right?
So we can definitely chat offline. Just DM us.
Next question is, how do you vet multifamily deals? We are looking at a deal in Oklahoma.
Are you looking as a passive investor, or are you looking as the active side? So
Frankie.
Frankie,
Okay, so
I'll wait for your reply and then we'll answer that. We'll go to the next question and then we'll come back to that one.
okay, yes. So next question is, do changes in interest rate have a big impact on financing real estate?
Yes. So yes, absolutely. So I mean, obviously, if interest rate used to be 3% and it became 6, basically it costs double what you were paying in mortgage. So yes, absolutely impacts it. But the good news is, if you're buying real estate in today's market, you know that that's the case. The problem that hurt most people back in 2022 was because we were buying stuff in 2020, 2021, thinking that interest rate will never go above 4%. Boy, were we wrong, right? Like everyone didn't know. No one knew.
No one
Economists
knew.
Like that was never. Inflation was supposed to be transitory, so no one was supposed to deal with it, right? Basically, the Feds screwed up. They called it transitory inflation for a long time, and then they allowed that bubble to happen. The government also screwed up because they allow billions of dollars to be printed. There's a direct consequence to having that much money flood the system all at once. So it is harder, but the good thing is, like, because you know what it is today and we're at pretty much the peak, you're going to be able to account for it in your underwriting. That saves you from the pain of like not knowing that was supposed to happen. It was not a surprise.
Oh my gosh, guy. Today has been
So much fun. That was
fun for
fast.
us, right? And we understand, like, sometimes, like, being who you are may not get you where you want to be, right? And for real estate investor, for real estate entrepreneurs, for general partners, for capital raiser,
What got you here will fail you now. Even if you're a brand new person who have a lot of business experience and you're coming in as a general partner, or if you're someone who's already a general partner in multifamily and you need to raise more money, but you're doing it the old way, those things will fail you in 2024. You're not going to be able to get the kind of funding you need. You may end up losing money, not only because you lose the chance to buy that deal, but maybe if it's non-refundable earnest money, you may lose your hard-earned cash. So raising capital in that sense for those people can become really stressful, but it doesn't always have to be that way. And so again, we're going to share your exact blueprint for raising money, so much money for every single deal, because you're going to be oversubscribed. You're going to be actually attracting amazing loyal investors. That takes the stress out of the equation completely. Guys, again, trust us. There's plenty of wealth to go around in real estate. And the reason that some people are saying that they're frustrated and it's scary and
or is hard.
it's hard out there is because they don't know what they're doing. They have to become a different person to do the things necessary to raise the kind of money, and so they can have the exact success that they desire in multifamily or any real estate deal.
Yes, so they have to be, and they have to do it, and then they have to have.
And they'll have it.
Yep.
So in doing so, if you want more of this learning to continue, if you love what we're teaching and you want us to dive deeper, because unfortunately we only have an hour, and so there's so much we can teach, join our 5-day Raise More Money Challenge, and you're going to learn how to attract unlimited capital that you need for your real estate business so that you can become that soaring star in your field.
Rock star.
So
in your apartment industry, right? So tap the link or just go to raisemoremoneychallenge.com. And for IG, if you guys want detail, just DM us OPM and we'll send you all the information. Well, guys, that's it for today. And until next time.